You want to know what real humiliation feels like? It's sitting in your own basement workshop for 3 weeks, wearing the same clothes, while your son-in-law stands over you laughing like you're some senile fool. That's exactly what Tyler Brooks was doing to me, until my son Chuck walked through that door. One look at Chuck's face, one move from my boy, and Tyler went dead silent. Never seen a grown man's expression change that fast. My name's Harold Patterson. I'm 72 years old, and this is how my family tried to destroy me. I spent 25 years active duty Navy, then another 15 years as a civilian contractor working on submarine navigation systems. Started when I was 23, fresh out of engineering school. Worked my way up designing sonar equipment that kept our boys safe underwater. The technical stuff, circuits, wiring, electronics, that was easy for me. But personal computers, smartphones, online banking, that was Dorothy's department. Dorothy and I were married 44 years when cancer took her 8 months ago. She handled our finances, kept track of investments, paid bills online. Me? I could design a navigation system that tracks objects 50 miles underwater, but ask me to log into our bank account, and I was lost. Dorothy always said she'd teach me the computer stuff when I retired, but cancer doesn't wait for convenient timing. After the funeral, I was a mess. Grief hits different when you're 72 and suddenly alone in a house full of memories. The kids were worried about me. Jenny, my daughter, and Chuck, my son. Chuck lives overseas doing military contractor work, so Jenny and her husband Tyler started coming around more often. Tyler Brooks, 38 years old, always wearing expensive suits, always talking about cryptocurrency and digital investments. Claimed to be a financial advisor, though I never saw him go to an actual office. Been married to Jenny for 6 years, and I'll be honest, something about him never sat right with me. The way he looked at our house, like he was calculating its value. 2 weeks after Dorothy's funeral, they showed up with paperwork. Jenny was crying, worried about me living alone, worried about my finances. Tyler was nodding along, talking about how dangerous the modern financial world had become for seniors. "Harold," he says to me, "I know this is hard, but you need help. Everything's digital now. Cryptocurrency, online banking, investment apps. One wrong click and you could lose everything to scammers." He made it sound like every elderly person was a walking target. Had statistics about seniors losing money online, stories about cryptocurrency scams, warnings about identity theft. Made me feel like I was some helpless old man who didn't understand the modern world. So I signed the power of attorney papers. "Just temporary," Tyler said. "Just to help navigate the digital landscape while I learned the systems." He'd handle day-to-day transactions, make sure bills got paid, maybe move some money into better investments. That was my first mistake. The second mistake was trusting him when strange charges started appearing. But Tyler had explanations for everything, and they sounded reasonable at the time. First was the home security upgrade. $45,000 for a complete smart home system. Tyler showed me brochures, talked about how my old alarm system was basically worthless against modern burglars. These new systems had facial recognition, smartphone alerts, AI monitoring. "Dorothy would want you to be safe," he kept saying. Then came the medical monitoring equipment. $32,000 for sensors throughout the house that would detect if I fell or had a medical emergency. Automatic alerts to paramedics, GPS tracking if I wandered outside confused, medication reminders. At your age, Harold, this could save your life. Next was the cryptocurrency investments. This one Tyler was really excited about. Showed me charts on his laptop, talked about Bitcoin doubling in value, explained blockchain, technology like he was some kind of expert. $180,000 went into his portfolio management. He'd pull up websites showing my investments growing, numbers climbing every day. The investment fees came next. $25,000 for professional portfolio management and $18,000 for cryptocurrency transaction costs. Tyler explained that you can't make money without spending money, that these fees were normal in the investment world. By September, 6 months after Dorothy died, Tyler had taken $300,000 of our retirement savings. But I didn't know that yet. Every time I questioned something, he'd show me fake statements, fake websites, fake investment portfolios that looked completely legitimate. The real nightmare started in October when Tyler announced we had foundation problems. I was down in my workshop that morning, working on an old radio restoration project. My workshop was my sanctuary. Organized tools, electronics equipment, photos of Dorothy and the kids on the walls. Peaceful place, where I could think and build things. Tyler comes down with 2 guys I'd never seen before. Big guys in work clothes, carrying moisture detection equipment. "Harold, we've got a serious situation," Tyler says. "These specialists found extensive water damage in your foundation, micro-leaks that could cause major structural failure if we don't act immediately." I looked around my basement. Dry as a bone, just like it had been for 30 years. No water stains, no moisture, no foundation cracks. I told them that. Tyler sighs like he's talking to a child. "Harold, I know you used to work with technical equipment, but modern moisture detection is much more sophisticated. These instruments can detect problems invisible to the naked eye." The workers started pointing at walls, talking about capillary action, moisture infiltration, hidden damage. Technical terms designed to confuse me. Said the whole basement needed chemical waterproofing, would take 3 to 4 weeks, and I couldn't stay down there during the process because the sealants were toxic. That's when Tyler moved me upstairs to my bedroom and cut off my contact with the outside world. The temporary space Tyler set up was my bedroom, but he'd removed the phone, disabled the Wi-Fi, and taken away my cell phone charger. Said electromagnetic interference from the waterproofing equipment could damage electronics. For the first week, I believed it. Jenny brought me meals, kept apologizing for the inconvenience. Said the work was going great, should be done soon. But something felt wrong. I hadn't seen my neighbor Stan Murphy in days. Stan and I walked together every morning for 2 years. Both Navy veterans, both early risers. We'd walk around the neighborhood, talk about current events, complain about how soft kids are these days. When I asked Tyler about Stan, he got that sympathetic look. "Harold, Stan moved to Florida last month. His daughter convinced him to relocate for health reasons." That was a lie. Stan had shown me photos 2 weeks earlier of his grandson's birthday party scheduled for Halloween. No way Stan would miss that. So I started paying attention. The waterproofing crew never brought equipment into the house. No chemical tanks, no pumps, no ventilation fans. The basement wasn't sealed off. Tyler just hung plastic sheeting and told me to stay away. When I snuck down one night, everything was exactly the same. My tools, my workbench, my half-finished radio project. That's when Tyler brought in the fake doctor. Dr. Vincent Coleman, thin guy with wire glasses who examined me for about 5 minutes and declared I was showing early dementia symptoms. Very common after losing a spouse at your age, this fake doctor says. Disorientation, memory problems, paranoid thoughts about family members stealing money, the confusion about home repairs, questioning legitimate medical expenses, classic signs. Paranoid thoughts. That's what they called it when I accused Tyler of stealing my money. Jenny was crying during that conversation, asking Tyler what we should do about my condition. Tyler suggested I needed more supervision, maybe shouldn't be wandering around the house unsupervised. Next thing I know, I'm locked in my basement workshop. Actually locked. Tyler installed a heavy deadbolt on the workshop door, told Jenny I was safer down there. Away from stairs I might fall down. away from the kitchen where I might leave the stove on. He set up a camping cot, brought down a space heater that barely worked, and left me with a bucket for a toilet. My own workshop became my prison cell. The worst part wasn't the cold or the smell. The worst part was listening to Tyler upstairs, living in my house, sleeping in the bed I'd shared with Dorothy for 44 years. And the mockery. Every time Tyler brought food down, usually just a sandwich and water, he'd make jokes about my situation. "How you doing down here, Gramps? Getting confused again? Need help remembering where you are?" He'd tell me stories about how much money he was making with my investments, how grateful I should be that he was managing my finances better than I ever could. "You built submarines, right, Harold? Well, your submarine is sinking fast. Good thing I'm the captain now." Tyler loved reminding me how times had changed, how my engineering knowledge was worthless in the modern world. He'd bring his laptop down sometimes, show me cryptocurrency charts, explain how much smarter he was than some old Navy guy who didn't understand technology. "Dorothy should have lived long enough to see this," he said one day. "She'd be so proud that someone finally taught you how money really works." 3 weeks. I spent 3 weeks in that basement, getting weaker every day, watching my radio equipment collect dust, thinking about all the projects I'd built down there over the years. Now I was just an inconvenience, an old man who didn't fit in the modern world. But what Tyler didn't know was that my son Chuck had been trying to reach me. Chuck calls every Sunday without fail, has for years, even when he's deployed overseas. When Tyler started intercepting those calls, telling Chuck I was traveling or too busy to talk, Chuck's military instincts kicked in. 20 years in the service teaches you to trust your gut, and Chuck's gut was screaming that something wasn't right. Chuck knew about my friendship with Stan Murphy. 2 military guys who respected each other, kept in touch over the years. When Chuck couldn't reach me for 3 weeks straight, he called Stan to check on my welfare. Stan told him the truth, that I'd disappeared from our morning walks, that there were strange cars at the house, that Tyler had been telling neighbors I was visiting relatives in Florida. But Stan had been watching every day, and he'd never seen me leave the house. Stan also mentioned something else. He'd been hearing strange sounds from my basement late at night. Banging, like someone was trying to get out. Stan thought maybe I was working on projects down there, but the timing was weird. 2 a.m., 3 a.m., not normal workshop hours. Chuck connected the dots fast. Missing phone calls, disappearing from daily routines, strange noises from the basement. In the military, when a man goes missing, you don't wait for permission to investigate. Chuck got on a plane the next day. Meanwhile, Tyler was getting bolder. Started talking about putting me in a nursing home, said my condition was deteriorating. Brought Jenny down to the workshop to show her how confused I was getting. "Look at him," Tyler said like I couldn't hear. "Talking to himself, asking for people who aren't there. He thinks we're stealing from him, thinks the house repairs aren't real. Classic dementia progression." Jenny was crying, but she wasn't arguing. Tyler had convinced her that her father was losing his mind, that keeping me locked up was actually kindness. That was November 18th, 2:30 in the afternoon. I was sitting on the cot, trying to stay warm, when I heard voices upstairs. Tyler's voice, and another voice that sounded familiar but I couldn't quite place. Then I heard footsteps on the stairs. Heavy boots, moving with purpose. The workshop door rattled. "Dad? Dad, are you down there?" Chuck. My boy had come home. I started yelling, banging on the door with both fists. "Chuck, Chuck, I'm here, I'm locked in." Wood splintered. Chuck had always been strong, but military training made him efficient. Tyler's fancy deadbolt might as well have been made of cardboard. The door swung open. There was my son. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing civilian clothes but carrying himself like the soldier he'd always be. Behind him, looking pale and terrified, was Tyler. Chuck took one look at me, unshaven, wearing the same clothes for weeks, sitting in a basement that reeked of urine and desperation, and his face went stone cold. I'd seen that expression before, back when Chuck was deployed. The look of a man who'd found the enemy. "What the hell is this?" Chuck said, not to me, but to Tyler. Tyler immediately started his rehearsed speech. "Chuck, thank God you're here. Your father's condition has deteriorated significantly. He's been having episodes, confusion, paranoid delusions about money being stolen. The doctor recommended supervised care for his own safety." "Dad," Chuck interrupted, kneeling down beside me. "Are you hurt? Did he hurt you?" I told Chuck everything. The fake investments, the stolen money, the fake doctor being locked in my own workshop for 3 weeks. Chuck listened without interrupting, his jaw getting tighter with every word. When I finished, Chuck stood up slowly and turned to Tyler. "You locked my 72-year-old father in a basement for 3 weeks. Tyler was sweating now, but still trying to sell his story. "Chuck, you don't understand. He has dementia. The medical evaluation clearly shows cognitive decline. I've been protecting him, protecting Jenny, managing his finances responsibly." "What medical evaluation?" "Dr. Coleman's assessment. It's all documented. Your father has been exhibiting classic symptoms: memory loss, paranoid accusations, inability to understand modern financial instruments." Chuck stepped closer to Tyler. "What's Dr. Coleman's license number?" Tyler blinked. "His what?" "License number. Every doctor in Ohio has one." "What's Coleman's number?" I don't have it memorized." "What hospital is he affiliated with?" Tyler was backing toward the stairs now. "Chuck, I don't think you understand the situation here. Your father signed power of attorney. Everything I've done is completely legal. I've been managing his investments, protecting his assets." That's when Chuck made the move that shut Tyler up permanently. Chuck pulled out his phone and held it up so Tyler could see the screen clearly. Not to make a call, just to show Tyler what he was about to do. "Tyler," Chuck said, his voice calm and cold, "I'm going to ask you some questions. You can answer them honestly, or you can lie to me. But understand this. I've been interrogating enemy combatants for 20 years. I know when someone's lying, and I know how to get the truth." Chuck hit the record button. "State your name for the record." Something in Chuck's tone, the way he stood, the absolute certainty in his voice. It broke Tyler completely. The smooth-talking con man disappeared, replaced by a panicked amateur who knew he'd been caught. Tyler Brooks. "How much money did you steal from my father?" "I didn't steal anything. It was investment management." Chuck stepped closer. Tyler was now pressed against the wall. "How much money?" Around 300,000, but it was all legitimate investments." "Where's the money now?" Some of it's invested, some went to necessary home improvements, medical equipment." "What medical equipment?" Tyler's eyes darted around. "The basement. The monitoring systems, the security upgrades." "I don't see any medical equipment down here, Tyler. I don't see any security upgrades. What I see is my father locked in a basement with a bucket for a toilet." "Chuck, you don't understand. You locked him in this basement?" "It was for his safety. He was confused, wandering around at night," the doctor said. "What doctor? Give me his name and phone number." "Dr. Vincent Coleman, but..." "Phone number." I don't have it with me." Chuck held up his phone again. "I can look up every licensed physician in Ohio right now. Want to bet I won't find a Dr. Vincent Coleman?" Tyler's face went white. Complete silence. The cocky son-in-law who'd been mocking me for weeks couldn't say a word. "You hired an actor to play a doctor, didn't you, Tyler?" Silence. "You forged medical documents." Silence. You stole $300,000 from a 72-year-old widower and locked him in his basement when he questioned you. Tyler opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Chuck's one move, pulling out that phone, making it clear he was recording everything, had reduced Tyler from a confident predator to a terrified criminal who knew his lies were falling apart. "Where's my sister in all this?" Chuck asked. Jenny didn't know everything. I told her it was for his own good, that he was getting confused." "She knew you locked him down here?" "She thought it was temporary, for his safety during the construction." "What construction, Tyler? I don't see any construction." Tyler couldn't answer that one. "How do you explain fake construction when you're standing in an unchanged basement?" Chuck kept asking questions, and Tyler kept digging himself deeper. Every answer was an admission of guilt. The fake cryptocurrency investments, admitted. The forged medical documents, admitted. The imprisonment, admitted. The actor playing Dr. Coleman, admitted. "You know what's interesting, Tyler?" Chuck said after 20 minutes of recording. "In the military, we call what you did unlawful detention of a non-combatant. In civilian terms, it's called kidnapping." Tyler's legs almost gave out. "Chuck, please, I can explain." "You just did explain. For 20 minutes, on camera." Chuck pocketed his phone and helped me to my feet. "Dad, we're getting you out of here, right now." As we headed upstairs, Chuck called 911. Then he called a lawyer. Then he called Stan Murphy, who came over immediately with hot soup and clean clothes. Tyler sat at my kitchen table, head in his hands, finally understanding that his 3-week vacation in my house was about to become a much longer stay in a state facility. The funny thing about con men, they're great at lying to confused elderly people, but they fall apart completely when faced with someone who knows what they're doing. Chuck knew exactly what he was doing. Tyler was arrested that same evening. When Detective Kevin Rodriguez showed up, Chuck handed over the phone with 20 minutes of recorded confessions. Rodriguez listened to about 2 minutes before putting Tyler in handcuffs. "Mr. Brooks, you're under arrest for elder financial abuse, false imprisonment, and conspiracy to commit fraud." Tyler tried one last time to explain himself, something about good intentions and family care, but Rodriguez wasn't interested. "You can tell it to your lawyer." Jenny showed up while they were loading Tyler into the police car. She was hysterical, screaming at Chuck about how he was destroying her family, how Tyler was just trying to help me. But when Rodriguez played back just 30 seconds of Tyler's confession, the part where he admitted the medical evaluation was fake, Jenny went quiet real fast. Rodriguez arrested Jenny too, though they released her on bail that night. Turned out she knew more than she'd been letting on. Not everything, but enough to make her an accessory. The investigation took 3 months, and what they found was worse than I'd imagined. Tyler had been running variations of this scam for 2 years. I wasn't his first victim, just his biggest. 3 other elderly men in Ohio, 2 widowers in Pennsylvania, all of them targeted the same way. Find a recently widowed senior with substantial assets, gain the family's trust, then systematically drain their accounts. The fake Dr. Vincent Coleman was actually an unemployed actor named Danny Pierce. Tyler paid him $500 per consultation to diagnose seniors with dementia. Pierce had been doing this for 18 months before we caught him. Turns out pretending to be a doctor is a felony all by itself. The cryptocurrency investments were completely fabricated. Tyler had created fake websites, fake portfolio statements, fake everything. Not $1 of my money was ever invested in anything. It all went into Tyler's personal accounts, which he used to buy cars, vacation rentals, and gambling debts in Atlantic City. The smart home security system that cost $45,000 never existed. the medical monitoring equipment worth $32,000. Also fake. Tyler had invoices printed at a local copy shop, created fake company names, even set up phone numbers that would forward to his cell phone in case anyone called to verify. My $300,000 was sitting in 6 different bank accounts, all under Tyler's name. Guy was so arrogant he didn't even try to hide it properly. Thought he was dealing with confused old people who'd never figure it out. The trial started in March. Tyler's lawyer tried to claim his client was just helping family with financial management, that I'd consented to all the investments, that the basement situation was a misunderstanding about home repairs. That defense lasted exactly as long as it took for Chuck's recording to play in court. 20 minutes of Tyler admitting to fake doctors, forged documents, and unlawful imprisonment. The jury deliberated for 45 minutes. Tyler got 6 years in state prison. 2 years for the financial fraud, 4 years for elder abuse and false imprisonment. Danny Pierce got 18 months for impersonating a physician. Both of them also have to pay restitution, though I'm not holding my breath on seeing that money anytime soon. Jenny's case was more complicated. The prosecutor wanted to charge her as a full accomplice, but Chuck convinced them she'd been manipulated almost as much as I had. Jenny genuinely thought I was developing dementia. Genuinely believed Tyler was protecting the family finances. She knew about the basement situation, but thought it was temporary medical supervision. In the end, Jenny got 3 years probation and 300 hours of community service. She also has to pay back $50,000 over 10 years, her share of the money Tyler spent on their lifestyle, while my savings disappeared. Most importantly, I got my money back. Asset forfeiture laws meant the government seized everything Tyler had bought with my stolen funds. The cars, the vacation property, even jewelry. He'd bought Jenny. Took 6 months to sort through all the legal paperwork, but I recovered $275,000 of the original $300,000. The other $25,000? Tyler had blown it gambling in Atlantic City. Some lessons cost money, I guess. Today, 10 months after Chuck broke down that basement door, I'm doing pretty well. Chuck moved back to Cleveland, took a job with a local defense contractor so he could be closer to home. We have breakfast together every Sunday, and he's teaching me how to use online banking properly. Turns out it's not as complicated as Tyler made it sound. Stan Murphy and I are back to our morning walks. Stan feels terrible that he didn't act sooner, but I told him he saved my life by calling Chuck. Sometimes the best thing you can do is trust your instincts and ask for help. Jenny and I are slowly working on our relationship. It's not easy. Trust, once broken, doesn't heal overnight. But she's still my daughter, and Tyler manipulated her almost as much as he manipulated me. We have dinner once a month now, just the two of us, trying to rebuild what Tyler destroyed. My workshop is back to normal. Fixed that old radio I was working on when this whole nightmare started. Also installed a new door lock, one that only locks from the inside. Chuck's idea. He said I should never again be trapped in my own house. The thing I learned from all this? Being old doesn't make you stupid, and being trusting doesn't make you weak. Tyler counted on my grief, my confusion about modern technology, my desire to trust family. He almost succeeded. But he made one crucial mistake. He thought Chuck wouldn't come home. Thought a son working overseas wouldn't notice his father disappearing. Tyler underestimated what happens when you mess with a military family. Chuck's move that day, recording Tyler's confession, broke the whole case wide open. Sometimes the best revenge is just letting a criminal talk long enough to convict himself. Tyler's in prison now, probably, learning that cryptocurrency experts don't do so well when they're trading cigarettes for protection. Meanwhile, I'm back in my workshop, building things, staying warm, and sleeping in my own bed. That's justice for you. Sometimes it takes a while, but it comes. And when it does, Guys like Tyler discovered that mocking a Navy veteran's family was the stupidest move they ever made. One phone recording. That's all it took to shut him up permanently. Family might betray you, but real family will always come home to fight for you. Age might slow your body, but it can't touch the strength that comes from knowing who you really are